Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Namuna Tira Vanachari Namuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Varachari Yamuna Tira Varachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nittaya Gaura Haribo, 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 Gora, Haribo. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Gover and Naranayam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatwim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 45, text 19, I believe. You know, you always have these things pulled up and ready to go, but it never works that way. Tatra pravyasyo pyasan yuvano tipalaujasaha pivantokshar mukundasya mukambuja sudamuhu. Tatra pravyasyo pyasan yuvano tipalaujasaha pivantokshar mukundasya mukambuja sudamuhu. Tatra pravayasopyasan yuvano tipalaujasaha pivantokshar mukundasya mukambuja sudamuhu. Yuvano tipalaujasaha Pibanto Sharmakundasya Ukambuja Sudam Babu Yasa Radhabaya Yasa Anantiva Tatra there in Mathura Pravayasaha the most elderly Api even Asan were Yuvana youthful Ati having abundant Bala strength Ojasaha and vitality Pibantaha drinking Akshahi with their eyes Makundasya Lord Krishna Mukambuja of the lotus face Sudam the nectar Mahuhu repeatedly translation by the servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Even the most elderly inhabitants of the city appeared youthful, full of strength and vitality, for with their eyes they constantly drank the elixir of the Lord Mukunda's lotus face. Please repeat. Even the most elderly inhabitants of the city appeared youthful, full of strength and vitality, for with their eyes they constantly drank the elixir of Lord Mukunda's lotus face. There's no purport, but I'll read the purports by the Acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, those who are old, Pravayasaha, became strong and energetic. Jiva Goswami writes, Uddhava and others, the associates of the Lord, who are protecting deities worshipped during Archana, could not be the elderly inhabitants. The elders were ancient members of the Andhika and other families. Sakatam sevaya tasya kalena jarasam gataha prishto vartam prati bruyad vartuhu padav anusmaran. This is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. How could Uddhava, who did not age because of his service to the Lord, when asked by Vidura for news about Krishna, reply, since he began immediately thinking of the Lord's lotus feet? This statement of Vidura is ultimate proof of Uddhava's continual youth. The older members did not age, since they tasted the extraordinary qualities of Krishna. His lotus face was like nectar. They drank that extraordinary face like nectar with their eyes. That face was also like a lotus. It was extraordinary because it was like nectar and a lotus. Continually drinking that face, they were endowed with youth and strength of body, bala, and senses, ojasaha. This indicates endowment of other qualities as well. And Sanatana Goswami writes, their bodies were made of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Among them, generally they did not age since they were avatars of associates of the Lord, or some of the Andikas, etc., were old in years, but youthful. They were eternally situated like this, asan. They had physical strength, bala, and alert senses, ojasaha, or energy. They drank with their eyes the sweet beauty of his face. This is a nice sentence here. Their eyes were like cups for tasting the nectar, the highest bliss, which destroyed all anarthas. They did this constantly, being very close at all times. Muhuhu. Or they were constantly youthful with strength of body and senses. I'll just read the verse again. Even the most elderly inhabitants of the city appeared youthful, full of strength and vitality, for with their eyes they constantly drank the elixir of Lord Mukunda's lotus face. Omajnana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Putale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swabadanti Tam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamala Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Tam Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Cha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabando Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavane Shri Vrisabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyevascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare. Good morning, everyone. I ask for your blessings and that I can say something pleasing and useful for everyone, and something to glorify the Lord, His devotees. It's just amazing. My nerves are kind of shot, so I'm a little shaky right now. But that seems to be the process, being shaky, and then it's smoothing out in the end. I'm not much of a public speaker, although it's interesting that I've performed music in front of thousands of people and had no problems. But somehow, when you're trying to speak about something real, the absolute truth, Krishna and his devotees, it's a little nerve-wracking. But anyways, right now in the Bhagavatam, for those of you who are joining us or just joining us, Krishna has killed Kamsa. He's freed Vasudeva and Devaki from being imprisoned by Lord Kamsa, or King Kamsa, not Lord. And he's installing Ugrasena as the ruler now. I think that's his grandfather. And just the previous verses, it was explaining how that the residents, because they will be in Krishna's association and under his protection, will be free from all calamities and miseries, and will have all their desires fulfilled. Maybe I'll read that just to refresh myself. That verse. The members of these clans, protected by the arms of Lord Krishna and Lord Sankarshan, felt that all their desires were fulfilled. Thus, they enjoyed perfect happiness while living at home with their families. Because of the presence of Krishna and Balaram, they no longer suffered from the fever of material existence. Every day, these loving devotees could see Mukunda's ever cheerful lotus face, which was decorated with beautiful, merciful, smiling glances. So we can see that although in this pastime, the associates of the Lord may not be uh, exactly like us, uh, they're quite exalted personalities that have exalted roles in the Lord's pastimes. But ultimately, that's what we're trying to come to reawaken our eternal relationship and pastimes with the Lord. And it was saying in the verse how uh, the residents were feeling ever youthful and full of vitality and strength. And, thinking about youth, I was thinking of my childhood, and, my mind always goes to movies and music because that's what, I was always inundated with. And I was thinking of the movie, I think it was Indiana Jones and maybe The Last Crusade. And I don't remember most of the movie, but in the finale, they're looking for the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail, it's guarded by some old knight who's been around for hundreds of years because, he's drank from the Grail, he's living forever. And that's kind of like, everybody wants youth, they want the vitality, the energy, and everybody's looking for this fountain of youth. And like in this movie, if you drank from the right Holy Grail, then you could live forever and you would have no calamities or wounds or diseases. But there are also several other cups you could choose from. It was kind of like a game. So if you chose the wrong cup, which these Nazis did in the movie, they drank from it, and then all of a sudden, they started to grow old like immediately and started to decay and turn into skeletons. And it was this cool, like, horror effect at the time. But then, Indiana Jones, being the good guy, he picked the right cup, drank from it, realized it was the right one, and he ran out to his father, who had like a gunshot wound. He was on his deathbed, had him drink from the cup, poured it over the wound healed, everything was great, and then, happy ever after. And then I also was thinking about how I think when I was a kid, also we went to the real Fountain of Youth in Florida. I don't, I can't remember the history. I was gonna look it up, but I just couldn't be bothered. It's in Florida somewhere. I think Ponce de Leon, St. Augustine, is that where it is? And as far as I know, there's no Fountain of Youth there, and I'm still growing old. I don't even know if you can drink water from there, or if there is actually a fountain. But the point is, everybody wants to be ever fresh, ever youthful, full of energy and vitality. And it's not possible in the material situation. And as devotees, it seems relatively clear, but just just going shopping locally, you can just see everyone is still lost in this ignorant concept of I am the body and I'm here to enjoy. And, obviously you get older and there's disease and death, and everybody wants to somehow backtrack that with surgery and new improvements and inventions, but it's never going to happen. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Prabhupada came and brought the real fountain of youth, which is Krishna consciousness and the chanting of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So then, when you're thinking about the fountain of youth in terms of Krishna consciousness, we're looking beyond the bodily concept because we know that the body is going to grow old and die. This world is full of misery. But the youth that we're looking for is that everlasting energy and vitality to serve Krishna. Like maybe it's me when I think about youthful times, I don't really get, you get some reminiscence like, oh, the good times. And like there's a little bit of sweetness there. And I think that's what people are chasing after, that innocent sweetness. But as you grow older, you realize that that's not the case. So you keep trying to go back to that. But once as devotees, we realize that you get you get the taste, that same taste in devotional service. Like you get that youthful taste, sweet nectar, honey, however you want to describe it. You can't. It's hard to describe because it's in the heart. It's a feeling. It's a it's an all-pervading energy, consciousness. I don't have the right words at the moment, but I think all of us can perceive that at least to a certain extent, or else we wouldn't be here. So that's what we're trying to do, is to always be able to drink that nectar. And the devotees and the residents here in this pastime are constantly drinking that nectar because they're seeing Krishna face to face. They're not thinking about anything else. Like their whole being is absorbed in Krishna. They're not thinking about when I'm going to go take a nap, or when I'm going to go have a snack, or what this person's thinking about, or what are they thinking about me. They're just absorbed in Krishna. And, it's difficult to do in this material setting. But through this process of Krishna consciousness, it is possible. You can get glimpses of it. And when I'm thinking of youthful energy, I often think of my own personal pastimes in San Diego with devotees there. I was thinking of one devotee, Rajendra Nandana Prabhu, passed away, I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And he was a Prabhupada disciple, maybe in his 60s. And he would come to the morning program regularly, when he was in town or not on business. But he was so enthusiastic. And me, and I can't speak for the rest of the brahmacharis there, but a majority of the residents, at 4:30 in the morning are not enthusiastic, not energetic. Everyone's half asleep, morose, falling asleep, just kind of standing there, like maybe mumbling the words if you're singing. And and I'm speaking from experience, just coming down, got to get up, and, I got to go down there and get changed and shower. And you're just not feeling it. You're just not in the mood. But he was so energetic. And he could tell, he's looking at me and he just sees a scowl on my face. He wants to. So he had this like dance move. I call it a skank because I don't know how to describe it. He just did this. He had this long, lanky frame. He would do this crazy dance. So all of a sudden you just see him like dancing up to you, and then he start dancing around you, trying to get you to chant. That was like the most important thing, to chant. Is very and you just start singing in your face, like trying to get you to go, tugging on your kurta, on your dhoti, pushing you a little bit. And I look at and at the time I was really morose about it, but looking back at it now, it's like that's what we want. We want to have that ever fresh, youthful energy. in front of the Lord. The Lords want to see us. Mother Krishna Priya was saying yesterday that, when we go to take darshan of Radha Golokananda, they want to see us. That's the main thing we're trying to do. They want to see us, see our enthusiasm. So when we're in front of the deities, showing some enthusiasm and in our service, showing enthusiasm, that creates more momentum, more enthusiasm, energy. And he also had, talking about the dancing, his energy. Rajendranandan also had this laugh. He was always laughing. You could hear it from a mile away. I mean, you could even, there's classes, you'll be listening on Mayapur TV, recorded classes from long ago, and you can hear his laugh. There's thousands of people, but it just sticks out. It's just that enthusiasm. You could see it in his eyes, like that light of Krishna consciousness, that shine. Even with Bhadri Narayan Swami, who's got, I'm not one to speak, but he's had some bodily afflictions. It's difficult for him to walk and so many things, and he has a cane. But in kirtan, he makes the effort to move and do what he can, and that's all we have to do is just try to remain enthusiastic and do what we can. And on a similar note, I'd come down to Mangalarti sometimes and be just so morose for whatever reason, the mind's always trying to bring you down. Krishna's trying to bring you up, mind's trying to bring you down, Maya's trying to bring you down. So one morning I was down during Mangalarti, and I was standing in front of Gaur Nitai. And that's where I used to like to stand, Gaur Nitai. I shouldn't call them my boys, but, they were very merciful to me in San Diego. So one time I was standing there just like super, I don't want to say the word, but I was super angry and just like kind of grinding my foot into the ground with a big scowl on my face. Everybody was avoiding me because they knew I was in a mood. And I was kind of looking up at Gaur Nitai, just looking at their eyes and eyebrows. And all of a sudden, like in my head, I had this voice say, and I just, I can't, it could just be something made up or whatever, but in my head, all of a sudden I heard, "Dance, you monkey." And I just immediately took it to be Gaur Nitai saying, like, "Get out of your funk. What are you doing? This isn't about you. You're a part and parcel of me. You're here to serve me. Let's get going here. Let's start dancing, Turn that frown upside down." So from then on, every Mongol Arati or every time I'm in front of the deities taking darshan, I try to keep that in mind. I'm not always moving, but, you get that, at least do something. You got to keep that enthusiasm going. You got to keep that juice flowing in this dead world. Yeah. All glories to Srila Prabhupada for bringing this, the real fountain of youth. And it just gets sweeter, and the devotees that I've seen in this movement for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, their bodies are slowly going, but they still have that youthful vigor. And that's what will keep you going and into your next life, into a life of bliss, eternity with Krishna. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Rajendra Nandana? No. Yeah, he was something else. Also, he used to do, he gave a lot of Bhagavatam classes. And I can't say every Bhagavatam class, but you know, a lot of the time people are dozing off, falling asleep. I was there, I still fight it all the time, falling asleep. But he would be one of those people that would just like wake up, we're trying to give you something here, and he's he'd have that I don't know, that joy and happiness, but it was also serious. It's a serious business. Krishna consciousness. It's a serious business. You know, we need some joy and things to get us through, but it's a serious business. And he would wake you up, and then he would tell you some pastime of Prabhupada, like some personal experience, and he would just get choked up, and he wouldn't be able to speak. And then you're like, oh my God, this is real. Krishna consciousness is real. These love for Prabhupada and Krishna, they can be real things, you know. So I'm forever grateful for those experiences and having that association. And on a similar note, Dravida Prabhu, I mean, he still seems like he's in his 50s or something. He's always dancing in kirtan, jumping up and down. That guy, that Prabhu, sorry, has more energy than I do, than probably most of us do combined. So it just goes to show that also consistency in service and surrender uh, will make you ever youthful. And the process works. Any other any other questions or comments? Uh, um, that's hard. Just there's so many. That's why they keep coming out during classes. There's like a never-ending pool of blissful times, but there's also difficult times because Krishna consciousness is work. You have to go through. You have to push through the difficulties, work on the anarthas. It's not just all happy-go-lucky blissfulness. In this world, there's some real pain and suffering, but in the end, you really taste the sweetness of Krishna and his association. That's all I got for now. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Vishnu Jaya Krishna Prasthaya Mutalai Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namane Krishna Prasthaya Mutalai Srimate Divedanta Namaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvani Pacha Renee Kinevasesha Shunyavade Vasachade Zatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Goloka Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Goloka Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Goloka Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Ji Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Jaya Radha, Goloka Radha, Goloka Radha. Radha, Goloka Radha, Goloka Radha. Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad.
kala etadrishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi Durdaiva midrishami hajjanina nuraga Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi suhishuna Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari Nadanam najanam nasundarim Kavitam va jagadishakamaye Mama